Hello everyone, it's Kevin, and today I really didn't want to make this video because today's game is Batman Forever on the Sega Genesis. Just the thought of playing an inferior version of an already bad game made me unwell. And I don't enjoy being negative about games, especially older ones. I mean, this game was someone else's childhood out there. And now, here I am almost 30 years later saying, yeah, this is one of the worst games from my childhood. See? It's terrible. You know what? Maybe I'll just skip this one after all. Yeah, I'm just gonna go play NES Batman now.
No, Kevin.
What? Who the heck are you?
You promised them this. Now you need to fulfill that promise.
I know, but this game is frustrating and it causes me pain.
You played Rise of the Robots. You survived that.
Yeah, barely. Besides, this might even be worse than that game.
The people want this.
I don't think anyone wanted this. No one wanted me to punish myself like this.
They clicked the video, Kevin. They knew what they were getting into.
You know what? Fine. We're doing this. Because Batman Forever was actually a game I played while growing up. My cousin had this on his SNES and we played it quite a bit. We were never able to get very far though. We knew it was not the greatest game. We may have both loved Batman, but we only played it for one reason. Co-op. Because when you're kids, if a game lets two people play together, you're gonna give it a shot. But every time we played this game, the same thing happened. We would get confused, we got stuck, and eventually we turned it off and played Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time. So today, I'm going back. I'm going back to find out if we were just bad at this game, or if this thing was really as bad as I remember. It is time to power on and revisit Batman Forever.
Riddle me this, riddle me that. Who's afraid of the big black bat?
Batman Forever was released in 1995 for the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo. It was based on the movie starring Val Kilmer as Batman. As a kid, I thought it was okay, but then again, I was a big Batman and Jim Carrey fan at the time. A lot of people disliked the movie, and usually video games based off bad movies end up being bad as well. Heck, even games based off good movies are bad sometimes. And like a lot of licensed games from the 90s, the goal was simple: ride the hype train from the big movie release. This time around, I'm playing on the Genesis though. My train of thought is that maybe the SNES version was inferior, and this is the bearable one. In this game, you can play as Batman and Robin if you really want to, and the objective is to stop the villains from the film. Those two villains being Two-Face and the Riddler. This game follows a pretty standard superhero setup, but one thing immediately stands out about this game, and that's the visuals. Instead of traditional sprites, the developers used digitized actors, very similar to Mortal Kombat. And that similarity isn't a coincidence, because this game was developed by Probe, who is responsible for the Mortal Kombat ports. And Batman Forever actually uses that same engine, which explains a lot of the design decisions. The problem is, Batman Forever was designed to be a beat-em-up / platformer, and not a 1v1 fighter. And once you start playing, those differences become obvious. Once I started playing again, I immediately remembered why this game confused me as a kid. The game just throws you in without any explanation. You never know where to go or what the game wants from you other than beating up the bad guys. Every content creator always brings up the controls, and while I fully agree with that, I think that first point is actually the bigger problem. The controls in this game are strange, and I mean really strange, because Batman Forever uses the same fighting controls that Mortal Kombat uses. Moves require directional commands, things like forward punch, down up kick, and half circle inputs. And that works great in a game like Mortal Kombat, but again, this is supposed to be a side-scrolling beat-em-up platformer. Enemies are coming from both directions. You're trying to react quickly, and instead of pressing punch, You're trying to remember the move inputs.
Skill issue.
Excuse me?
Maybe you should simply get good.
I would if the game actually explained what it wants from me. Anyways, the Genesis controller doesn't help the cause either, because by default you only have 3 buttons, so the game relies on button combinations and directional inputs, which makes everything feel awkward, and the game then decides to throw puzzles at you as well. Sometimes you need to use gadgets in the right spot, grapple somewhere, or interact with objects, but this game doesn't always explain how, so you end up doing a lot of this. Walking around, trying random inputs, wondering what you're missing, and randomly, something ends up working. For example, there are button combos to drop down or grapple up, but they require a very specific timing for it to work. This is exactly what my cousin and I experienced years ago. Why wasn't there a tutorial? Why didn't the Riddler icons give you better instructions? Maybe have arrows like other beat-em-ups. We weren't failing because the game was hard. We were failing because we didn't understand the rules that were never given to us. And honestly, as an adult, I still find that happens today. The only way I saw past level 3 was by using the cheat menu, which is what I recommend you use if you ever get stuck, just to save your sanity. The story itself is pretty simple. Two-Face and the Riddler are causing chaos in Gotham. Batman and Robin are trying to stop them. That's about it. Most of the story is delivered through short text screens between stages. It's not even close to as complex as the movie. But for a beat-em-up, that's fine. You're not here for deep storytelling. You're here to punch criminals. At least, that's the idea. Visually, this game is definitely unique. The digitized actors make Batman and Robin look very different from most games of the time. And in still images, it actually looks pretty good. But once things start moving, the weaknesses start to show up. The graphics were not as well done as Mortal Kombat, so it was not able to stand the test of time. Animations on the player-controlled characters don't translate well to the inputs. It's kinda stiff actually. Characters move a little awkwardly, and sometimes it's hard to tell what parts of the environment are interactive and which aren't. The Genesis version also struggles with color. Compared to the SNES version, everything looks darker and a little less detailed. It's also kinda grainy. The SNES version also provided 3D effects, and this one doesn't. Graphics in the foreground sometimes block your view, which is annoying because sometimes you can't see the exit for that screen. Obviously, none of this helps when the gameplay already feels confusing. The sound design here is, not very good. Punches lack impact, gadgets kinda sound nondescript, and the music is pretty forgettable. It actually hurts my ears at times on the Genesis version. It doesn't really capture that atmosphere you might expect from a Batman game, and it's not something you're gonna remember either. If you were wondering, the SNES version is just okay in this department. Playing this today, oh man. The game definitely feels rough in some areas, and the fact that we gave up on this game proved that even kids weren't falling for it back then. There can be slowdown when multiple enemies appear, collision detection isn't always consistent, and sometimes attacks don't land the way you expect, which leads to trial and error, button mashing, and a lot of frustration, which is exactly what my cousin and I experienced years ago. Now it's worth mentioning, while the SNES version of Batman Forever isn't exactly a masterpiece, it does have some advantages over this one. The SNES controller has more buttons, which helps with the complicated control system. The color palette is stronger, so environments look clearer, and the sound effects sounded fuller. The SNES version also had a better intro screen and menus. So while both versions share a lot of the same problems, they tend to feel a lot more worse on the Genesis. If you truly desire it, there is some replay value though. As I mentioned earlier, you could play as Batman or Robin if you really want to. Again, I personally stick to Batman, and there is the 2-player co-op. As I alluded to earlier, this is honestly the main reason I played this game as a kid. But the frustrating mechanics make it hard for me to even recommend coming back to it for that. Unless you're curious about retro Batman games. But then, I don't think you should revisit it, just watch a YouTube video. So when it's all said and done, was this game misunderstood? Honestly, not really. Batman Forever had some interesting ideas. It had digitized graphics, beat-em-up gameplay, 2-player co-op, but it also had complicated controls, confusing mechanics, and a lack of clarity that made it frustrating. And now I truly realize something deep within my heart. My cousin and I were truly smart to give up on this game back then.
You still could have tried harder.
We were 9. We tried our best. I'm sure some of you powered through this, but I know for sure that most of you rage quit. So what I would recommend is that you play pretty much any other Batman game out there instead. Still, revisiting games like this is part of the fun of retro gaming, because sometimes the misses are as interesting as the classics. Wait, you never did tell me who you are. I see how it is. Anyways, that's a wrap. It is time to reboot. I will see you on the other side. Batman Forever, more like Batman Never Again.
Was that over the top?